Bills National Football Show, hour number 3. We'll reset everything. Also, too, I want to hit a little bit up on what Gary Cobb said. We're going to look at Week 12 of the NFL. I'm going to make a prediction to you right here about Jalen Hurts. You pay Jalen Hurts $40 million, you'll be in the same boat every organization is in, and you've already tasted it once. How many of those $40 million deals have panned out? One. Patrick Mahomes. You think that $40 million deal is panning out in Buffalo? You think that $40 million deal is panning out in Dallas? You think that $40 million deal is panning out in Arizona? You think that $40 million deal is panning out in Los Angeles with Jared Goff? You think that $40 million deal is panning out with Carson Wentz in Philadelphia? No. One. The rest of them have not returned the investment. That's why Baltimore's hedging. Not one, except for Mahomes. Facts. Tell me I'm wrong. Show me a $40 million deal that has returned investment other than Mahomes. Show me. You can't. It's been a disaster for every freaking franchise except Kansas City. And Kansas City still had to let the best wide receiver walk out the building. Jalen Hurts is not Patrick Mahomes. He'll never be. You can't name me a $40 million deal that is worth it. And don't start with Hurts. Because he's the lesser of those guys in talent arm that can hide deficiencies on the team. You understand the places that you'll start losing money will be in the O-line. That's where all your millionaires are. There's 5 of them. Name me one $40 million deal outside of Mahomes. I'm waiting. Yeah, Chris, arm talent. Great arm talent. 153 yards, whatever. Hey, name me one. You can't. Dak. Really? You think you got your return investment on Dak getting bounced in the opening rounds? Not being able to get Brandon Cooks? Brandon Cooks you couldn't even sign. You couldn't even sign Brandon Cooks. Because you were so squeezed against the cap. Name me one $40 million deal. One. Oh, didn't they just give Matthew Stafford like $38 million? How's that panning out? How's that panning out? Drew, we don't know about Deshaun Watson yet. He won't play for the first time till this weekend. Oh, no, Mitchell. Ain't no moving on. Hurts has okay arm talent. So you're going to pay your quarterback $40 million when they're all colossal failures. And you think you're going to keep everybody together, 3,000 receiving yard guys, and your whole team, and he's going to make $45 million. That's the land of cowboy land. That's the land of misfit toys. The Cowboys are the land of misfit toys, where they're delusional. Delusional. You're delusional. It's why Brady took haircuts. He's got better arm talent than Joe Burrow. Not likely, kid. And by the way, Chris, let Jalen win a game that matters. Joe Burrow in a year and a half has been to a Super Bowl. The Bengals he took. The Bengals. Joe Burrow in 3 years won a Heisman, a national title, an AFC championship, and was a quarter away from winning the Super Bowl. What has Jalen done? What has he won? A seat in last year's playoff. Burrow made it to the Super Bowl. Seals, in a couple years, everyone will be $50 million quarterbacks unless they're on a rookie deal. There's part of that that's true. You're right. But every one of these contracts have not returned investment. It's actually the fastest way to hurt your team. Arizona's not going anywhere with Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray's going to get a coach fired. He might even get the GM fired, Steve Keim. He just signed a contract extension, but he still may get fired too. Lamar Jackson, I'm telling you right now, guys, you know why in Baltimore they're hedging? They don't want to pay it. Dude, when you got the money to pay for something, by the way, Ravens just got beat again. That's not helping his case losing against those shitty teams to pay a guy $45 million. You could put Garoppolo in Baltimore and win at $28 million. Why would I do that? Here, one more time too, on Jalen's contract. One thing we can all say about Jimmy G, his $25 million is not a bad contract. It's actually a spectacular contract. There's one thing you'll never say about him. Well, you're overpaying that guy. Dak. Dude, Dak. You got to win games, kid. Dak's got a lot. Dak has not returned investment. Jimmy Garoppolo has 3 more wins than Montana and Young and 60 starts in San Francisco. And those two dudes were on better teams. Super Bowl teams. And Garoppolo's got 3 more wins than them and 60 starts. Yeah, he sucks. Yeah. That's why when I told you, you put his name in the conversation with some of the best players that have played there. He has more wins than Montana and 60 career starts as a Niner quarterback. See what Steve Young said about him? I don't want Jimmy Garoppolo here for 6 months. I want him here for another 6 years. Yeah, Chris, it's 5 Super Bowls with those two dudes. Wait, what? Those guys won 5 Super Bowls. Yeah, okay. Jerry Rice, Roger Craig, Montana. They won 5 Super Bowls. 5. Yes, better teams. Ronnie Lott. Yes. Joe Burrow's overrated. Well, then what's your guy? Guy won the AFC Championship last year. Anyway, some of the takeaways from last night's 40-33, very close game with the Packers. Your special teams blows out loud. Start playing some of your frontline guys. They're terrible. 3+ 50-yard returns. I thought the DTs, Joseph and Sue, thought they were okay. Running the ball for 363 was spectacular. A.J. Brown, bro, let's go. Your last 3 weeks, you've been terrible. Terrible. Your quarterback needs you, and you're nowhere to be seen. Putting the ball on the ground, got a touchdown. Really? What were his numbers? Not very impressive. Well, he's sick. I don't care. Fletcher Cox played better. He did. Had a better game. Here's where the numbers are right now with 6 games remaining. Hurts is on pace for about 38-50. 26 touchdowns. 105.6 quarterback rating, which is great. And 67.3 in completion percentage. Very respectable numbers. Not elite. Miles Sanders is having an elite season. 1,391, 1,400 yards, 12 touchdowns. Here's the most impressive number. 5.1. 5.1 is great. A.J. Brown's on pace for about 100 yards more than his career average, or his career best in Tennessee. I think the best he ever had was 1,100 yards. He's on pace for about 1,284. That number will come down because unless he steps up, his numbers will start to decrease as well. 82 catches. Once again, the Eagles will not have a 100-catch wide receiver, even though you're paying him $25 million. The 11 touchdowns is impressive. DeVonta Smith, on pace for the same year he had a year ago, except for about 18 more catches than he had a year ago. So he's roughly around 940, somewhere in there. Not really improving on what his rookie year was. So, if anything, DeVonta Smith's numbers, he's not really benefited from this new high-powered offense. Okay, he hasn't. Xander goes like this. What's up with the 5-yard curl route every target for DeVonta? I think what they're trying to do, Xander, I think they're trying to get him the ball in space because they do not do a good enough job at getting him in space. They just don't. He's got a bunch of catches. He's on pace for 87 catches, 900 yards. In today's NFL, that's 50 yards a game. That's not elite. That's not elite. Those are not elite numbers. Hunter Renfrow puts up bigger numbers than DeVonta Smith. Hunter Renfrow. Let me take a look at that. Hunter Renfrow with Derek Carr. Let's take a look at his numbers. Hunter Renfrow.
According to Wikipedia, James Hunter Renfrow is an American football wide receiver.
Let's just take a look at his stats.
National Football League.
Let's take a look at his stats this year. I just picked him up. I don't even know if he's having a good year. I have no idea. He's got 100. Okay. Here's the best he had. He had 103 catches last year for 1,038. 56, 656. Okay, DeVonta's putting up better numbers than Hunter Renfrow. Not by a lot, though. Not by a lot. Need to do a better job of getting him the football. What do you expect from a third option on a run? Wait a minute, Dante. I've been being told that the Eagles have 2 number ones. That's not number one statistics. I made a prediction to you. DeVonta Smith will never have 1,000 yards in this offense as a receiver in Philly. Ever. Ever. He'll never have them. This is a tight end centric offense with a guy like AJ. AJ's going to get there. He'll get there, but DeVonta will never get there. He'll end up with about 920, somewhere in there. Thank you, Joseph. DeVonta could have had 150 yards this game. I was at the game. He was open down the field a few times. Yeah, Dion. Well, Jalen's not going to throw that ball down the field like that. Have a chance for turnovers? He'd rather run it. Jalen Hurts would rather run the ball than throw the ball to DeVonta Smith. It's evident when you watch how wide open he is. I even heard Mike Quick on the broadcast last night. Hey, Xander, by the way, you know, we get Merrill Reese on the program and we get Mike Quick on the program. Those guys are exceptionally critical of the football team in broadcast. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I actually heard Merrill ripping special teams. I heard Merrill ripping the run defense. I couldn't believe it. And I heard Mike Quick actually say this. Hey, I know it's really great to see Jalen run out in the open space like that, but DeVonta's been wide open 6 or 7 times today. I'd like to see him get the ball down the field to him. Mike Quick said that during the broadcast. Go back and re-listen. I was stunned how critical they were of that. Jalen and Steichen are not going to have turnover plays. And there's a part of me that agrees with that. That's why Josh Allen has 10 times more turnovers than Jalen. Jalen's not going to toss the ball down the field like that. No risk it, no biscuit. That's not that offense. Brady made a career out of doing that. It's okay. DeVonta was wide open at least 5 times I counted. And they decided to run the ball instead. And there's nothing wrong. When you put up 363 yards rushing, you're not going to get a lot of bitching from people. When you're running like that, at that clip, at 49 carries, and you got 35 minutes of the time of possession, and the most important stat in that game was 79 plays to 49 plays, you own them. Why would I throw the ball down the field to get an opportunity at turning the ball over, give it to Aaron Rodgers? Why would I do that? I wouldn't. Makes no sense. They play strategic football in Philly, and it's working. It's why they're 10-1. They don't play strategic football in Buffalo. It's why they've lost dumb games. We do realize Hurts is in his 3rd year, right? So, Cody, Patrick Mahomes was in his 2nd year and won a Super Bowl. Brady was in his 2nd year starting, won a Super Bowl. Ben Roethlisberger went to a Super Bowl in his 1st year. Joe Burrow, in a year and a half, went to a Super Bowl. And Lamar Jackson, in his 1st year starting, won the MVP award. And you can always find a hole in the game. Yeah, but Troy, this is what I'm doing here. You're 10-1. The Eagles are 10-1. No doubt about it. Here, look, my top 10 is probably going to be ruined here. But is there anybody right now more complete than the Eagles in the NFL? You're not complete. You're not the best complete team. Your special teams is atrocious. Your run defense is not that hot. So you've got holes too. You're making it sound, now, to put everything in proper context, Are they the best, though, of that group, 32 teams? Yes. But don't sound like you don't have holes on your team. Your wide receivers have been non-existent for a month. Non-existent. The loss of Goddard has been a factor. It's been a factor in your passing game. Jalen Hurts hasn't thrown for 200 yards in the last 3 weeks. Gee. Kind of goes down the line a little bit of Goddard being out. Goddard's loss is a big deal. And it's affecting AJ. Brady won a Super Bowl in his first year starting when he took over for Drew. When he got hurt. Yeah, and Dami. Then Brady got hurt, and they put Bledsoe back in, and Bledsoe won the playoff game against the Steelers. And Belichick went right back to Brady for the Super Bowl, and they won it. That's how that played out. Everyone thought he was going to stick with Bledsoe after the playoff win against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Belichick went back to Brady, and they had given Bledsoe $117 million and $17 million signing bonus. And then, you know what they thought of Bledsoe? They traded him in the division to the Bills. That's what they thought of Drew Bledsoe. They didn't give a shit where they traded him. They traded him in the division. He was the Bills starting quarterback the next year. That's why I said year and a half, Joe. He played half the year his first year, then came back the next full season. And in his second year, his first full year starting, he took a team to the Super Bowl. Jordan Davis will help the run deep. What kind of shape is he in, Troy? What kind of shape is he in? Guy wasn't in very good shape in season. And now that he's been out a little bit, let's see what kind of conditioning is in. Blake says, we're going all the way. You said you would give us credit if we beat the GOAT. Have you beat Tom Brady? When'd you beat Brady? He beat the shit out of you last January. I must have missed that one. The GOAT beat the shit out of you last year. James, but Sills, you're saying that the Eagles are going to have to run the ball in the playoffs in order to keep other elite quarterbacks on the field. So who cares if DeVonta's wide open? I'm saying that you're still one-dimensional. And it's that dimension is a versatile Jalen Hurts. Because you're not really throwing the ball around anymore. And you're running it with him. He's got 30 carries in the last 2 weeks. He's been your best back. Miles had a great game against the Packers. I think there will be room to get Smith downfield. Like I said, Dank, they haven't. You keep saying they're going to. When? It's 11 games in. When? If not now, when? Dank, it's 11 games. Actually, it's almost like 29 games. When are you going to get the ball deep to him? He's played 29 NFL games. When are you going to deep pass DeVonta Smith? When? Where have you seen that? Except for Washington and a few other games. When have you seen that? That the Eagles have utilized DeVonta Smith's skill set. In his almost 30 games. When? When? No, boy. Smitty, no. I don't. I believe he's got the same character as Jalen. I think as long as they're 10-1, like Brian just said, I think DeVonta Smith is okay with it. I truly believe that. Dude, when I watched him win the Heisman Trophy, I am a gigantic DeVonta Smith fan. The community loves him. The teammates at Alabama loved him. I've never heard anybody say one negative thing. Saban swears by the kid. It's a true honor to have him on the Eagles. I think he's that kid. I think if he's Tyreek Hill or any of these other guys, I think if he's A.J. Smith, can you imagine if that was A.J.? He'd be bitching. Shit, he was bitching and he still cries about not being on Tennessee right now. A.J. Brown still cries about not being on Tennessee. He still cries about it today. DeVonta doesn't cry about anything like catches and touches. Okay? He doesn't. In my opinion, DeVonta Smith's a better teammate than A.J. Brown. And you could see it on display all the time. He sacrifices his game for the betterment of the team. I get this. It's like thanking people for like not robbing a bank, and I get it. But it's true. He's a real great teammate. Ray says Vrabel will take away what we do best, Hurts. They got the defense. That kid Simmons in the middle, that defensive tackle, they're going to do a good job against the run, in my opinion. Okay? Davey Boy says, respectfully, DeVonta Smith is not the player that Jefferson is. How do you know that? Davey Boy, how do you know that? How do you know that he's not Jamarcus or Jamar Chase? How do you know that? I can't definitively say that. I won't say that. I think with a higher volumed passing offense, I think he could be a 1,200-yard guy. Are you trying to tell me that if he had Tagovailoa, so if he had Tagovailoa like Jalen Waddle, you don't think he'd have 1,200 yards too in that Miami offense? I disagree with that. Eagles not losing to the Titans. I think that's going to be pretty close. By the way, Vrabel's a better coach than Sirianni. Hands down. Hands down. Not close. Jamar Chase is insane, no Sills. Nas, he is. He is. He's and I think he's back this week too. Devontae's a beast. We need to save him for the playoffs. You know, personally, that's what I think they're trying to do with Miles Sanders a little bit. I think they're trying to save Miles Sanders a tad. That's why you're seeing more Kenneth Gainwell in Boston getting more carries and touches. Because we all know, hey, Miles Sanders really is not a guy that's played a full season. You know what I'm saying? It's not a guy that's going to put up a shitload of, you know. He has the same amount of touches as number 2 wide receiver. Yeah, Blake, and he's on pace for 900 yards, same as a year ago. So they've thrown him, Tank, 5-yard passes. What was his numbers in the game? 4 catches for 50 yards. That's elite. And he's done that the last month. That's elite. And personally, I don't think it's him. He was wide open 5 times. 5 times. They don't want that ball down the field. They don't. They'd rather have Jalen run it. That's why everyone's going like this. So you think 30 carries for that guy is a good deal or bad deal? I think this is more by design, these 30 carries. I think it's by design. DeVonta Smith was open 5 times. Mike Quick on the broadcast was bringing it up. He's wide open. Same thing Aikman said. Now, it's either Jalen or it's Steichen and Sirianni. It's one of those guys. That's why you're not seeing the wideouts with any kind of decent numbers over the last 3 weeks. They've been a non-factor. One of them's dropping the ball on the carpet. How many fumbles are we looking at with AJ over the last 3 weeks? Bro, secure the ball. And DeVonta's been a non-factor. Yale says that the Titans won't let Jalen run like that. I haven't seen anybody stop him yet, though. Okay? Hold on to the effing ball. Was he sick last week, too? I don't want to hear any of that shit about being sick. Okay? Get out there and play. If you're too sick to play, don't play. I get it. If you think your team needs you, get out there and play. Hey, Jordan Mailata's playing hurt. You can play sick. I'll tell you what, Dylan. That's not a bad thing there. You're starting to see them start to implement Quez Watkins a tad bit more. Dude, I'd like to see him get more looks. You know, up until like 2 weeks ago, he only had 12 catches on the year. And now they're kind of up. They've kind of upped his production. They need to get him in there. If they're having a difficult time in finding more ways on kind of, they have not been able to pick up the loss of production from Dallas Goedert. They have not. That's why Jalen's numbers are down in the passing game. They're down in the passing game because they haven't figured that out yet. So they ran the ball 50 times. Okay. That's okay. That shows, you know how they're compensating for the last loss of Dallas Goedert? They're running the ball more. They're not throwing it more. They're throwing it actually less. And they're putting more on the quarterback. Am I wrong? They're putting more on the QB. I think Quez is improving too. Nas, I think he's improving too. I like him in open space. He's a good-looking talent. I'd like to get him going more. Like, give him some more targets. See what he can do. Might help DeVonta. Throw the ball to Sanders. That's kind of – I thought I saw a couple of those last night to Sanders. Sanders, I thought, had a couple catches last night. Glad to see that. Sanders had 4 catches. That's a good start. Getting him more involved in the offense. How good are the Dolphins? I think the Dolphins are exceptional. I got to hit on week 12 here in a second. I think the Dolphins have – I'll tell you this. Is there a better offense in the NFL right now than the Miami Dolphins? Let me think. Is there a better offense in the NFL than the Dolphins? Those 2 wide receivers are going to go over 1,500 yards. Tua missed 2 games. He'll still throw for 4,400. Jersey Dolphins, you're going to have more production at your skilled people than the Eagles will. The Eagles won't have a 100-catch guy. You'll have 2. You'll have a quarterback throw for 4,400 yards. They won't have one. So you think that the Eagle offense is better than the Dolphin offense? How do you look at that? You got 2 wide receivers. They're going to go for $3,000. What are you looking at? Tua doesn't have the legs to rely on. I think it's more than legs. I think it's one hit away from retirement. 100 catches will be the thing of the past. Well, you ain't getting it this year. How's their running game? Not near. Not near. That's the only advantage you have over the Dolphins is your running game. The passing game, Dolphins are superior. Malcolm, appreciate it. Thank you. when your tight end's healthy. I called him pulling Tua and Waddle and Cheetah. They made Waddle and Cheetah go back. Tell you what, they're on pace for some great numbers this year. Tua's too fragile. I agree. I think that's going to be a massive debate. Mr. International goes, I feel like we have the better overall offense when both teams are healthy. Probably, Mr. International, probably. Okay? Jalen Hurts has 31.57. Does he? Jalen Hurts stats. Jalen Hurts is 2,500 passing yards, not 31. Does not have 31. I'll take it. Dolphins offense is better and harder to defend. Yeah, because you got those guys running across the field. All right, I want to hit on week 12. Please hit the like button. Keep it here on the National Football Show.